Welcome to Trek, Two Rivers Entrepreneur Connection. Trek is a monthly gathering of entrepreneurs, mentors, advisors, and others to educate, engage, and connect entrepreneurs. Our organizing team picked the name Trek because we know that the road to being successful entrepreneur is not a sprint, it's a trek. Everyone is welcome. Meetings are open to anyone that's interested in hearing, supporting, and connecting with areas entrepreneurs. There's no attendance requirements and no membership fees. Our gatherings are run by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. Each month we feature two presenters, one that's been in business maybe for a few years and one that's maybe a little bit newer. Meetings are the first Tuesday of each month at 9 a.m. to 9:50 a.m. We are not having it next month, correct?
Correct.
We are not having it next month. And then in October, we'll be at a new place because Riverwalk is actually going to be closing down. So we'll find a new place and we'll make sure that that's plastered all over and that we get it announced where that's going to be. The session is being recorded, so plan your questions accordingly. Especially now that Tate's here, we never know what's going to be said. Just kidding. Our Trek guides are Mike Berry, Beth Nelson, Brian Carlson, John Siebertson, Kendall Dehan, Kelsey Brateng, me, Andrew Wessling, and Michelle Landsberg. And Michelle, you had some announcements?
Sure, I'll come up there so I can get on camera. Not that it makes a difference, but
Yes.
for those that might be seeing it via the recording. So excited, we have a training that's coming up this month, August 19th, I believe. It's on our website, advancedleafriver.com. This is a training that's provided by ILT Academy, and it's funded by Launch Minnesota funding. I'm really excited about it. It's on the Lean Startup Canvas. So if you have maybe worked on a business plan in the past and you've got an idea of what the traditional business plan looks like, this is going to be different. A Lean Startup plan is a one-page plan. Does that sound intriguing? It's intriguing to me, so check that out. It's going to be actually kind of a hybrid, so it'll be online. You'll need to bring your laptop and headphones, but we will be gathering at Northland Community and Technical College in one of the rooms over there. So we'll kind of be in the room together and we can have a little bit of that interaction as well. So check that out if you think you might be interested in that. Now, who should take it? Certainly if you're a new business. But if you're a business that's already, going, but you're looking for a new direction, maybe you're going to pivot, add a new service, looking at reaching a new market, this also would be a lot of value for you. So be thinking about that. The other thing I just wanted to make everyone aware of, there are more grants coming out from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, COVID relief grants. If you did not receive one of the grants that DEED put out last July, I don't know if you remember the lottery that they did where you would apply and they awarded $10,000 grants. They are awarding another round of that. These will be from $10,000 to $25,000, but they will take into account all other COVID help you may have received. So even if you didn't get one of these, but maybe you got a PPP and you got something else from the county or something, you're not going to be able to get more money than what you would have, taken in an income. But if you still have a gap, if you've lost some revenue due to COVID and you haven't made that up, you will have opportunity to apply for this grant. The RFP is not open, but I will tell you the window is going to be open only 10 days. Okay, only 10 days. So from the time they say open, closed, you have 10 days to get it in. So I would highly recommend, if you're considering going after that, that you get everything pulled together so that you can put the application together quickly. Because if you have to start scrambling to pull numbers together and so forth, it might be hard to get it in time. So, and from what I've seen, the government is pumping a lot of money out. So stay tuned. There might be something else coming that would be a benefit to you. And as Advanced Leaf River, we're going to try to communicate that to all the entrepreneurs in the community. So that's it, Angie. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so presenters, who wants to go first?
We're just discussing this. Okay.
Best out of three?
No,
Just one. Just one.
just one, sir. That didn't work. Rock, paper, scissors,
I think you won. You're up.
Okay. All right, Kelsey Brateng.
I was gonna say scissors paper.
Hello, everybody. So excited to be here. I'm Kelsey Brateng. I am a born and raised Thief River Falls girl, married to my husband Kelly. Oh gosh, for 17 years. Yeah, 17 years. We have 4 kids. Alexia is going to be 17, Tanner 14, Aubrielle is 8, and Everly is 5. I'm trying to keep track of all their ages. Yeah, so I've been a professional photographer in the area for the last 17 years. So I'm kind of a seasoned business owner, but then I'm just recently started a new business. I'm kind of in the middle. Like I said, born and raised in Thief River. After high school, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I liked writing. I liked being creative, but I didn't really have any direction. I applied to Northland just to get my generals done, and the last minute I saw that they had a radio broadcasting program, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. So that's what I did. I entered into the broadcasting program. They had a little bit of television broadcasting in there as well. Did that for a year, so I got my broadcasting diploma. Had fun with it, but I was like, it's wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. So then I'm like, well, I'll just keep going. And I thought, well, maybe I'll be like a reporter, journalist. So I got my media communications associate's degree. Not really feeling it. I was craving more creativity, and I think being a reporter, if you get too creative, it's probably not a good thing. So I was like, maybe that's not for me. So then I just happened to take a photography class just to like fill up my schedule, and ended up just obsessing over photography. I loved it. This is really going to date me, but I spent hours and hours in the darkroom rolling my film, producing pictures in the darkroom. It's definitely a lost art. Like, it was very zen. But yeah, I loved it. And so coming up on my last year of college, still didn't really know what I wanted to do, and my professor, he set up a meeting with me and was like, sat me down, and he's like, so what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, I don't know. Can you tell me what I should do with my life? Because at this point I didn't have a clue. He's like, well, I think you should pursue photography. And so I was like, okay. He's like, there's a professor at MSU in Moorhead that I think you would really enjoy. So I think you should go off and transfer at MSUM. And I was like, okay, that's a thought. And at that time, I was dating my boyfriend, now husband, and we'd been together for 2 years. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And my husband, who has been my #1 supporter from day one, he's like, I think you need to do it. I think you'll regret it if you don't. So that's what I did. I moved away and did the photography program for 2 years. Also had to do art, painting, drawing, printmaking, all the art classes, which was so much fun. Like, I didn't feel like I was going to school because I got to do all the fun stuff. And so at first I was like, I just want to be a photographer. Why do I need to take drawing and painting? And which, hindsight, I'm really glad they make you explore those other areas. So then I moved back to Thief River. I applied at DigiKey. Just I needed to find a job in the meantime until I figured stuff out. So that first year, I came back. We got married. We bought a house. I started a new job. Started my photography business, and had a baby. So that was my year coming back. Yeah, that was a lot. So yeah, that was back in 2004. So yeah, it was a busy time. So word of mouth got out, aka my mom. She was telling everybody I came back from college, and so word of mouth traveled, and started busy. I got busy with senior pictures, and then I got hired at DigiKey in the marketing department. So what turned, I was just there just temporary until I figured stuff out. But then I got to do a lot of creative stuff in the marketing department, and I really, I kind of got to be like the corporate photographer, got to do a lot of SEO and SEM training, which hindsight, now that I have a social media marketing company, I didn't know then that would help me, in the future. So, but yeah, so time flies, had another baby, and 10 years go by, and, I got to do, so many creative projects, got to actually attend a couple conferences in Las Vegas, this PubCon, which is kind of like a group like this. It's digital marketers putting on a big conference for digital marketers, so that was pretty exciting. But then, 10 years go by, and I had baby number 3, and I got back to work from maternity leave, and was like, there's this little voice in my head that was saying, your time is done. You need to be done here. And I was like, wait, what? Where is this coming from? I'm like, no, I have a steady job. I love it. I love the people I work with. And that voice kept getting stronger and stronger. And finally I came home and told my husband, I'm like, I don't think I can punch a clock anymore. I think I need to be done there. And to my excitement and horror, he's like, then be done. And I was like, whoa, shouldn't we talk about this? That's a lot of, what? So yeah, I felt like my older 2 had grown up so fast. I was like, I wanted to be at home with my baby. So after 10 years, I, put in my notice. I was still doing my photography work, just out of my house, still running my business. So then I decided at the worst possible time, it was January, which is like photography. My business was it's kind of seasonal. January, like after Christmas, it's really slow. So just coming off of maternity leave, and my business was slower. I was like, what am I doing? Oh my goodness. So then I decided, well, I'm going to open a daycare. I mean, that sounds simple enough. I'll just watch a few other kids while I take care of my kids, and that'll be awesome. And yeah, I did that for 5 years, and I have a whole new respect for teachers and daycare providers, because wow, that is the hardest job I've ever done in my life. I mean, it was rewarding, but it was tough. Man, there's so much more that goes into being a daycare provider that I did not know. I mean, you're working all the time. So yeah, that was 5 years of being at home, and which is what I wanted to do, but I quickly realized that I am a very social person, and I was not expecting it to be that isolating, I guess. So at that point, I had my 4th baby, which I never dreamed I'd have 4 kids, but so glad we did. And then all of a sudden I found myself, at a point where I was like, okay, what are you doing? Professionally, I kind of felt like I was just busy taking care of the family, raising kids, and, you know, doing daycare. I really lost myself. Like, I really didn't have any direction. So that was back in 2017. And I had found myself, I was about 100 pounds overweight, and I was kind of miserable, and I just was kind of lost. And so then I decided to make some changes, which joined Tate's boot camp, which was like a huge leap for me, like totally out of my comfort zone. I'd been sitting in my little comfort zone for the last 5 years, so that was a huge leap. And then through Tate, he actually had hired a social media marketing company called Main Street Hub. And I had already started taking some pictures at the gym and doing some commercial stuff. So Tate had hired this outfit, and they're like, oh, we'll send a photographer. And Tate's like, no, I'm good. I got a photographer. And they were kind of like, oh, really? And so they got on the phone with them, and they're like, yeah, we don't normally do this, but, you know, we'll just send in your info and we'll hire you. So I'm like, great. And so then I started doing commercial contracted work all over, like Fargo, Grand Forks, like all over in the region. So that was like really exciting. I loved it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is kind of like my next step. Like, I'd done portraits and weddings, and I felt like this was the next step for me. So I did that for a few years. Learned a lot. So then I was done doing daycare at that time, and so just was doing contract work through them. I also was doing some contracted work. I kind of lost like all my art skills I hadn't honed in, and so I really started kind of diving into all my art stuff that I had lost for like 10 years, and started painting and drawing and really getting into the arts again. And so I did some more contract work through the Northwest Minnesota Arts Council. So I got to set up art galleries, and that was so much fun. And then, and then in 2018, we got to be a part of this Blend in Leadership program, and my focus was to bring more creativity to our community. Like, I wanted more arts and more creative stuff in this town, which is what I was craving. And so made a lot of connections through there. Ended up teaching art at Elevate, our youth center. And then so after that, I just started kind of setting some goals. And business-wise, I was kind of like, I think I was like, I need to be done with weddings and portraits. I really want to focus on the commercial photography. And at the same time, my sister had been thinking about she was thinking about entrepreneurship. And so we brainstormed, and we kind of came up with this idea. I had been talking with a lot of business owners, the last couple years, and they were really struggling with social media marketing and web design and all the things, like all the online stuff. And I'm like, well, I've been doing that since like early 2000s, like with my business, and it had become a lot easier to do. Like, I mean, from when I started, it was a lot more time consuming and difficult. And compared to now, like where you have a lot of drop, plug and play, and it's just gotten a lot easier. But people were struggling, and I get it, because when you're running your business, like it's a lot of work. And so I just decided like the commercial photography thing was like something that really excited me, and I wanted to help business owners. And so we started Kindred North Connection, and became an LLC, and that was back in, right before the pandemic hit, so like 2019-ish. Just word of mouth traveled again and started taking on clients just to help them with their social media marketing. And then, yeah, then the pandemic hit. I was still doing all my contracted work, and essentially all that went away, like overnight, like kind of like hits you in the face and like, holy cow, you think you're going in one direction and then you're like, nope. Like everything changed. So then at the time, my photography studio was inside Old Bostwick's, and so everything shut down. My studio shut down, everything shut down. And so after everything opened back up again, they needed someone to help manage the, it's a secondhand boutique store, which I'd always dreamed of. That was one of my dreams, was to own a boutique store. So they were like, hey, we need help. Can you help us out while we figure out all this stuff? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So kind of started managing that and having so much fun, like getting to do display windows. And I mean, that's another side of the creativity that I was like craving. So getting to do that. So that has been a blast. So yeah, I, continue to just try and, so my mission in life is to live life creatively inspired. Like that just like sings to my heart. So yeah, after that, then just started getting into like community projects, and I've been dreaming about painting murals. I don't know for how long, and just this last summer we got to do a project, got to paint a mural, like a lifelong dream of mine. So that's super, super exciting. But I just never really thought of my, like, entrepreneurship was nothing that was like, when I started, it wasn't really a thing. But yeah, I've always kind of had an entrepreneurship heart, and it's always just really like driven me, and it's pretty amazing to work with people and to help people. And so yeah, just going forward, got some pretty lofty goals, some big projects we're working on, but that's all part of the journey. It's pretty exciting. So so yeah. Did I keep it under 10?
I haven't even.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm like,
I'm trying to like get it all out. But so yeah, that's kind of my story. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So I love how you said a lot of times that things were fun. Like that's so important, I think, when you're working, and especially if you're an entrepreneur, you have to love what you're doing and enjoy it, and it sounds like you really have. As far as even like your bucket list of things, it sounds like you've really checked a lot of them off along your journey, and that's
crazy. So like a few years back, I don't know if you've ever done this. If you have never done this, I recommend doing it. But a few years back, I was reading a book, and they recommended you take a piece of paper, you write down everything that you've ever wanted to do or you were interested in. And so I did. I didn't do one page, I did 4 pages, because I like lots of things. And so it was kind of funny. I came back to that old journal just not that long ago, and I opened it up, and I was like, holy cow, like, check. Like, it was weird. Like, I hadn't even realized, like, some of the stuff I'd written down. I'm like, I did it. I'm doing it. Like, it's pretty incredible. So highly recommend doing that.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to first say that my favorite part, I've really loved getting to know you the last couple of years. One of my favorite parts about your story, and just you as a person, is actually the inconsistency. So many people get so stuck, and then they just accept being stuck because it's scary to take the next leap. The amount of times in your story today, and other times I've heard you talk about, like, the amount of times you take a leap without having no clue where it's going is awesome. Yep. And it reminded me of a quote that I read this morning. It says, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. And I feel like your story embodied that for me. So I appreciate the story. My question is, I know I just led up big time to that. I talk a lot. Is moving forward, I know you said you have some big plans. like what are your 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 like focuses? Are you doing Kindred North Connection? Are you doing the the boutique? Like what are you kind of focusing on going forward as far as generally speaking?
Yeah,
the,
that's a great
photography?
question. I want to do all the things, but no. So yeah, the goal right now. So yes, I am managing Bostwick's, which I love, and I'll continue to do. But our big focus, so Jill, who's the owner, she is like so amazing, and she has like given me a lot of like, she has this big huge building, and so we scheme and we dream, and it's so exciting. But yeah, right now we're just focusing on Kindred North Connection and kind of building it into, we're trying to get down processes and systems to eventually, we'd love to grow the business, hire some people. I want to surround myself with creativity and creative people. And so we've talked about, so I have my studio set up there. We'll love to have because I have all the videography equipment and photography equipment, to have a space for people to rent out if they want to, do some things in that area. Doing like a gallery artist co-op, something in that nature. So that's kind of, and that's so many things. But yeah, right now, focusing on just building Kindred North, and helping. That's the beauty of like social media marketing. There's a lot of creativity in that as well, and I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, I would love to bring more people on, and continue to build that business. But like I said, I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. Multi-passionate is another term I've heard, multi-passionate entrepreneur, where I want to do all the things, but I definitely have a hard time focusing sometimes on like which to focus on. But yeah, so we need to focus on the Kindred North, because there is a really huge need for it right now. Huge. And that's where I need to focus. So I get to like play with like all the art stuff, but yeah, Kindred North is definitely something where we're really focusing on and just getting some things down and a process. I think that's the hardest part, is just finding that process. And yeah, so.
Can you talk about the core services of Kindred North Connection? So,
yeah.
Who would be your customer, and what would they expect from you? What would be the things you would offer them?
Right. So initially, when we started Kindred North, I wanted to get into like marketing campaigns and getting businesses' stories out there. But what I found out is that a lot of businesses either don't have much of an online presence or don't have any. So we do a lot of like social media marketing. Like consistency is key as far as like social media marketing goes. Web design is something that I didn't think I would be doing a lot of, but I'm doing more web design, probably just as much as social media marketing. Just the SEO and the SEM, the behind the scenes, like getting, just so, you Google a business and they, like my one client, he's like, I want someone to be able to Google my name and it pop up. Just like little things, and they're like, I don't want to touch it. I have no idea. I need help with that. So yeah, social media marketing, web design is mainly what I'm doing right now. So, but yeah, designing logos, which I love. I also do that.
You design. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yep. I love designing logos. So designing is my passion. Like I love designing. But yeah. So, but yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And then we will have Tate Sorvig. Would you like to come up and tell us your story?
I would love to.
Awesome.
I just about did the same. I was like,
It's a
Just about took the whole works out.
Tricky
Tell you what.
to the table.
Gotta stay on your toes around here. Okay. Yeah, sit down. All right. Well, let me get our clock going here, make sure I.
Oh.
It's necessary, trust me. All right, so yes, I'm Tate Sorvig. I'm owner and head coach at Great North Fitness and Adventure. I'm born and raised here. I have a wonderful wife, Ashley, and 2 children, Dawson, who is 5, and Katie, who is 2. Both have birthdays coming up here in October. They're growing like weeds. And this whole business element really is a big part of how my family situation operates too. So we'll touch on that a little bit coming up. But coming up, I grew up in small business. My father and my uncles own and operate St. Hilaire Supply. I started working there the summer I turned 12, and hard work was the probably number one thing that was instilled in me through that time. It was, we don't stop till the work is done, and Sorvigs never take a break, and I got to see that exemplified in my dad and my uncles. Like, saw it every day. So that I'm just very thankful, very grateful for all the other wonderful things as well that came out of working there. I spent about 15 years working at St. Hilaire Supply in a wide variety of capacities, from sweeping the floors and and loading trucks to doing continuous improvement and sales runs and all kinds of things like that. So lots of great experience seeing the inner workings of a business and watching the heart and soul that goes into that. But that really wasn't my passion. I wanted to be a paleontologist until I saw what paleontologists actually wind up doing. Like, what do you mean you don't find dinosaurs all the time? So then I decided wildlife biology would be the thing, and so I went into biology, got my degree at Carleton College, and after that, I went to UND for another year to get some classes that I couldn't get there. Had a phenomenal experience, learned so much through that time. And then I kind of fell off track with the wildlife side. I worked out in Montana in a few different jobs. I was a field instructor, taking these high school kids out in the mountains, teaching them conservation biology and camping out, and it was awesome. It was one of the best summers of my life. And there's a lot of education and whatnot that went into that as well. So it was a great time. I got to be on a wolf trapping team for the for the Montana state government agency. Done a lot in the wildlife side, and then I wound up coming back to supply and working through there in a lot of different ways. But really what has always kind of driven me was this passion to help people and take things apart and figure out how they work and find a way through it. And the biological world has really been where my head's been at all along. Love hunting, love fishing, love camping. I guess I don't love fishing, but I enjoy fishing. But anything outside. And where fitness comes into the picture is that's always been a bridge to me to go have fun. It was always a way to have freedom. The fitter I was, the more fun I could have, the more enriching experiences I could have with the people that I cared about, right? More adventures I could go on. And I was blessed to go on lots of adventures. Whitewater rafted the Grand Canyon, and rivers up in Alaska where I didn't see another person besides the guy I was with for 11 days. I did a study abroad gig out in Africa for 3 months. We were camping out in the bush, chasing rhinos around, doing all kinds of stuff. Love it. And so I wound up getting my first personal trainer certification in 2007 and started training people on the side. And, you know, it's like, you guys want to do cool stuff too? Let's do cool stuff together. It's going to be great. So that was kind of where that started. Within that realm, I worked at various health clubs, got to work at a gymnastics gym. When I was at UND, I was in the ROTC, so I was involved in a soldiering competition, learned a lot of great skills there. My cousin actually was into CrossFit long before I was. He competed in a few of the early CrossFit games, so he's a super stud. But at the time, I was actually running a little mixed martial arts club in college, and you know, I was in pretty good shape, and CrossFit was pretty fatty at the time, and so it was, you know, we did some workouts together. I was like, man, he's really fit, but I can do what I'm doing. Okay, I wish I would have paid more attention at the time. Anyway, that's always been there. So since 2007, so we're looking at 14 years. We've been training people in some capacity. 2015, there's a lot of things that kind of happened all at the same time. My grandfather, this was the big one, my grandfather really hit the downward spiral with Alzheimer's and prostate cancer. And my grandfather, he was just this like universally competent, just mechanical genius. He had this workshop to go into as a kid, and it's all these crazy projects. You know, he's got welders and like tools for working on clocks, and just building a lighthouse out of wood, and it's like there's always something crazy going on in Grandpa's workshop. And Alzheimer's took all that away, right? And watching him go down that spiral and watching my family watch him go down that spiral had a huge impact on me. Health and fitness isn't just freedom to go do the things you want. It's freedom from all these chronic diseases that are really plaguing our society. You know, long before COVID ever came in, we've been in a healthcare crisis, right? And so that really lit a fire under me to like that became my mission. I don't want to, you know, put my family through that. I don't want to watch my dad go through that. I don't want my kids to have to deal with this. You know, I want to be tap dancing at my 80th birthday party, and I want to take as many people with me as I can. Right? That's the big thing for me. And so, had an opportunity to take over this small gym that was operating out of the racquetball club, same place we're operating out of now. And you know, that was quite the experience. But we jumped on it, and it was like, you know, all right, we're gonna do this. My cousin had a couple gyms out in California, so we had talked about it, and they, you know, this deal looked great, so cool, we went forward with it. And that's when this whole story really gets started. Man, I always fancied myself like a little entrepreneur or whatever. Like I always wanted to get into business and do things and make something that could create an impact in the world. And this was the key, right? But it wasn't just about fitness. Like I like I said, I used fitness to go do stuff, and that's really where the value is to me. Like I don't care so much about how much I can lift of this or that or whatever. I care about what happens outside the gym, and that's the stuff that I wanted to give people. So I wanted to be able to build a gym that, you know, would help people in the real world. And so the original vision, and still what I'm gunning for, but there's these steps, these walls that I've had a really hard time bashing through so far. But we're building some functional fitness, right? So we're getting out of pain, we're making sure your body moves the way it's supposed to move, And then we're making sure you can do it faster and stronger and do the things that you want to do. But the other side, what was supposed to be built around it, is the adventure side. I want to be able to offer ways for people to get into all of these amazing things that you can do outside. I mean, kayaking and canoeing is getting to be a big thing. Running, survival training. I used to do all kinds of stuff with primitive survival work. I'd love to have a full-on gymnastics program, a parkour program. I'd love to have opportunities for people to participate in like a communal garden situation so we can learn more about food and how to grow your own food. Even, maybe having a milk cow at some point or something. Okay, you only have to milk the cow once a week. That's much better than twice a day, every day. My wife grew up on a dairy farm, so my father-in-law's like, yeah, that sounds great. Keep that thing away from me, But there's so much that goes into health and fitness, and being able to go and use it, and martial arts side as well, I guess, be the other thing that kind of loops around. Being able to use your fitness is just one other way that you're going to ensure that you're going to keep it for as long as possible, right? So the root, the core, was the gym, and then you put all this stuff around it where it gives people opportunities to connect with each other and go and use their fitness in a fun and exciting way. That's been my goal. We're still stuck on this core part for the most part, and that is it's kind of a reflection of my limitations as an entrepreneur so far. It's been a wonderful struggle. I've loved every minute of it. It's been really hard on my family, just because I have this work ethic that's been drilled into me, right? And so, there's a problem, I'll just work harder. I'll just work more. And that's not actually how it works, is the trouble. Recently I was talking with a friend of mine. He has much the same problem. We're both really, really driven towards these different missions, and we're trying to create this impact and do these things. But that's it. We're trying to carry the ball all the way, right? So we were talking about it in this football analogy. I feel like I've heard something like this before, but it really struck me the other day. If you're gonna be the quarterback, and you just try to do a quarterback sneak every play, you're just gonna get pummeled into the ground. You're not gonna win. The way the quarterback wins the game is by focusing on the handoff or the pass. You can't be the one to do it every time. And so that's been a major focus. And I've known that I need these systems, I need to learn how to delegate and all this stuff all along, but it never really meant anything. It's hard to connect to those words. But it's like, instead of chasing the touchdown, chase the handoff. That makes sense for some reason. So that has been where my focus has shifted, and it's gone a long way toward helping to create those processes, to create those systems, to identify and talk to the people that I need to talk to in order to get the ball moving towards that end zone. And that's when you talk about small business ownership, one thing that they say, yeah, it's great because you get to work for yourself, but the problem is you're working for a lunatic. And that's that's it. So to protect yourself from your own lunacy and protect your mission from your own lunacy, you need these other people that are far more reasonable than you are to help move the needle and push things along. And so I've got some phenomenal people with me right now. I think if we get in our heads too much, it can feel like a very lonely journey, right? Feel like you're all alone. You have to do it all by yourself. But if we look around and we look at things with a grateful heart, we realize, man, I've got so many people with me that I wouldn't be here without those people. And that alone is such an encouraging piece, because that shows you that there's other people that believe in your mission as well and that want to be with you carrying that ball to in whatever capacity that they can, which makes it much easier to ask. And that's a hard thing to do these days for me. Asking for help. And I wouldn't even say it's so much like a pride thing. It's not that I think I'm the only one that can do it, because I know I'm not. There's a lot of people who are way better at all this stuff than I am. But it's like, this is my mission, and I don't want to bother these other people. They're busy too. They've got stuff to do. I don't want to be a bother, you know. So just reframing all that in my head has been huge. Okay, kind of wrap this whole thing up here. How that mission kind of plays, and how I see things moving forward. Health and fitness is something that has suffered from a lot of spin, right? There's so much just skeezy, slimy, money-grubbing stuff out there, right? These ads and whatever, and it drives me crazy, because it really taints the value of it all. And when I grew up, you always hear a very sort of derisive attitude towards anything that's healthy. Like, oh, I got that healthy crap or whatever. Like, I'm going to take my candy bar or whatever it is. You get the feeling like people go to the doctor, and I mean, pretty much any malady you can think of across the board, from, you know, recovering from an injury to mental health, like all of the literature shows that diet and exercise is like the #1 recommendation, right?
By far.
Yeah, by far. And the doctor tells someone that, and they're like, okay, what else? But yeah, I got it. What? Anything else that I could do? Anything else at all? Yeah, and it's a tough attitude to come at, especially where, like, my particular business and brand of training tends to look really intimidating and look really inaccessible to people. Like, you know, talk to people, and it's like the first thing they say when they find out what they're doing, oh, I could never do that. No. That's not it. Everybody needs much of the same things, and if you're following the principles that work, the basic principles that hold your body together, I can use those principles to train somebody who needs to lose weight, who needs to, who's in horrible chronic pain from, you know, various surgeries or whatever. I can help the guy who's on a championship football team who can squat 500 pounds. I use the same principles, and I can move those people toward the goals that they have with those principles. The methods are many, the principles are few. You understand the principles, you can make your own methods. And that's where a lot of my success in my practice has come. But the challenge to the business is now saying, okay, you can do that, but you can only do that for one person at a time or a small group of people at a time. I need to help my coaches. I need to give them the ability to do that. I need to help them understand those principles and how to use them. I need the system in place. Like, if you have this come up, these are the avenues that we need to go down. And the more that I can impart that to them, the more they can carry the ball. So the impact that this business can have on our community. Like, I believe in having a strong community. I want my kids to grow up in a strong, healthy community. The level of impact I can create is going to depend on how well I can impart that, how well I can build a system that doesn't need me. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's a skill set that I'm about here on, and I need it to be about here on. That means I need some help. So, how can Advanced TRF help move Great North Fitness and Adventure along? I would love to talk to some people about how they do that. How do you build a team? How do you manage a team? What are those things that I need to make sure that I'm taking care of every day, that make sure I can move that needle forward? maybe I need to partner with somebody, maybe I need to figure out how to hire some of these roles out. These are things that I've been looking at for a while and problems I've been trying to solve for a while. And I think it's crucial to the long-term sustainability of my business and my mission. So, 19 minutes, 40 seconds. Got it. Anyway, that's what I got for you.
So Tate, what do you see as your biggest hurdle right now? I know that you have you know, you're saying that your core is right here and you want to get this. What would be one thing, you know, that is it, you know, you need to be in a different place because you've outgrown the gym. I know that you really utilize, you go down to the park, you run parking lots,
Sure.
I mean, you utilize what there is, but, you know, like, in the garden and all that, you know, like.
Yeah. I think that part of what's happened with the limitations that I'm bringing to the table is we're growing right to the cusp of where we absolutely need to move. And then when you start going beyond that, the delivery, the customer experience degrades at the edge, right? And so I've got a ceiling where I've been at for quite a while. And getting past that ceiling, one, I need to do a better job of making sure that I'm delivering 100% across the board. The client experience has to get better every time there's a new client, right? And so that's where those systems come into place. That's where having people that can help make sure nobody slips through the cracks comes into place. The space itself, it's a great space. It's served me well. I would love to get into a larger space. It would open up a lot of possibilities, a lot of opportunities. I've been hesitant to move without having those systems in place, because I know that I need that to be there, right? And so getting those things locked in and tying that into a better space, or even, you know, knocking the wall out inside the space I have, like there's a lot that can be done with where we're at. But expansion would be extremely helpful. But I think it's important that it is done prudently. So, did that answer your question? I think so. Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I'll finish with my question and start with first by saying I grew up with your Bailey's your sister, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Sorvigs confused me with who's.
That's fair. We get that a lot.
All right. I grew up with your sister, and she was always like this infectious, positive personality, and it must be something you guys got from your parents, because that's how I feel about you too. I've just loved getting to know you the last couple of years, and you're one of the few people I know that genuinely am in a better mood every time after I have a conversation with you, because you're so positive and reflective. But I want to challenge you, because you had quite a few negative comments there in your speech that normally I don't normally hear. So I'm challenging you on that. But for those, generally speaking, what are like and this is gonna be challenging for you to keep it short. What are 3 things that every person could or should focus on a daily basis to live a happier and healthier life?
I'll give you 5. Okay, so there's 5 key elements to health.
Right? I actually remember you saying 5. That's why I said 3. I was curious if you could do it.
Well, I could, but I'm good. They're all important. So the 5 elements that you need to make sure you're taking care of on a daily basis. You got nutrition, you've got movement, you've got rest, you got your mindset, and you've got your relationships. Those come from the Blue Zone study. So it's a study of places on Earth where they have the highest per capita instance of people who live to be 100 or more. Okay, so they're like, oh man, these people are living a long time, they must be doing something right. What are they doing? The single biggest common denominator is the relationships. The quality and depth of the relationships that you keep in your life are so profoundly effective on your outcome. You think about what happens if you have a solid support structure versus not having that, how much stress you eliminate from your plate, you have a problem, you have people to help you, you can laugh, right? Those relationships are so important. And you, so talk about tap dancing at your 80th birthday party. If I'm tap dancing by myself at my 80th birthday party, I screwed up, right? I got to bring some people with me. And so that's number one. If you can focus on those relationships, that's huge. And that has been something that during this struggle, and gotta keep driving that nose toward the grindstone, I haven't done a good job of holding together. And that's where I say, like, family has suffered a lot. A lot of my friendships have suffered. I've been at the gym. And so that's another big, more selfish reason where I need to get this thing together so it doesn't need me to that extent, right? So relationships, number one. The other things really depend on themselves so much. Things you can do for mindset, you need to be aware of what you're thinking and why, aware of your feelings, and question them. Is this serving me? Like, I'm having this feeling right now. Is that actually what's going on? Now, you question those things to some degree. It gives you control. It doesn't mean you need to be a stinted, stuffed shirt, I don't feel anything. You need those feelings. But is it the right feeling, and is it serving me? That sets the tone for, am I going to go work out? Am I going to go for a walk? Am I going to go garden? Am I going to go move my body? Am I going to make good, healthy choices for my food? Right, we know what that is. Like your mom was telling you when you were a kid, eat your vegetables. Stop eating so much junk. Right? Those things are important. And it's not as complicated as people would lead you to believe. Go to sleep. That's probably my biggest struggle, actually.
What is that?
Yeah. Sleep. If you don't get sleep, you're really bad at all the rest of those things. So fixing sleep is important. A lot of good things you can do for sleep. But where relationships are concerned, as far as what I think, if you can do one simple thing, is try to make somebody laugh. Reach out, send a stupid joke to somebody. You keep that connection going just a little bit with something positive, and it makes a world of difference. The negative things that I was bringing up, it's the struggle, and I'm going to be real about that. It hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows, but it has been incredibly fulfilling. Watching a 50-some-year-old woman climb to the top of a rope for the first time in their life after, being traumatized by it in gym class in second grade or whatever, and they've got these just tears streaming down their face when they get back to the bottom because they're shaking because they're so proud of themselves and they're just amazed by just the power that they have in them that they had no idea. Like, it's moments like that. It's when people, they kind of like, I just realized the other day, like, I don't hurt anymore. I'm happier at work. I'm not a jerk to I'm a foreman and I'm not a jerk to all the people there. Like, everyone, people are telling me I'm different. Like, that goes so far beyond just, doing push-ups in the gym. That changes people's lives. And I'm not doing the work, they're doing the work. And that's what matters, because that's how you get your freedom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Tate.
Yes.
Thank you.
You are very encouraging and inspiring, I think, to a lot of people. So